Sometimes the people you trust the most are the ones hiding the darkest secrets. These are 3 true stories that prove your instincts exist for a reason, and ignoring them can cost you everything. I was 19 when I moved into my first apartment. Nothing fancy. Just a 1-bedroom in an older building on the east side of Minneapolis. Rent was cheap. The landlord didn't ask many questions. I signed the lease in under an hour. My neighbor across the hall was a guy named Eric. Mid-40s. Balding. Always wore the same gray hoodie. He worked nights, I think. I'd hear his door open around 10 p.m. and close again around 6 a.m. We'd nod at each other in the hallway sometimes. That was it. One night in late September, I came home around 11 p.m. after my shift at Target. I was unlocking my door when Eric's door opened. He stepped out, looked at me, said, "Hey, you busy right now?" I wasn't. But something about the way he asked made me lie. I told him I was about to hop on a call with my girlfriend. He nodded, said, "No problem. Just thought you could help me move something real quick." I asked what he needed to move. He paused, then said, "Just a table. In my basement storage unit. Won't take 5 minutes." The building had basement storage. Small caged areas where tenants could keep boxes and old furniture. I'd been down there once to drop off some stuff when I moved in. It was dim. Concrete floors. A single hallway with storage units on both sides. I told Eric I'd help him tomorrow. He stared at me for a second, then forced a smile. Said, "Yeah, tomorrow's fine." He went back inside. I went into my apartment, locked the door, and immediately felt uneasy. The next morning, I left for work early. When I came home that night, there was a note taped to my door. Handwritten. It said, "Still need help with that table. Knock when you're free. Eric." I didn't knock. I threw the note away. 2 days later, I ran into my downstairs neighbor in the laundry room. Her name was Claudia. She was in her 60s. Lived alone. We talked a few times before. She asked how I was settling in. I told her fine. Then, without really thinking, I mentioned Eric asking me to help move something in the basement. Her face changed. She looked at me and said, "Don't go down there with him." I asked why. She hesitated, then said, "There was a girl who lived in your apartment before you. College student. Quiet. She helped Eric move something in the basement one night. A few weeks later, she broke her lease and left. Didn't say goodbye to anyone. Just gone." I felt my stomach drop. I asked if Claudia knew why she left. She shook her head. Said, "No. But I saw her the day before she moved out. She looked terrified." That same night, around 2 a.m., I woke up to a sound. A low scraping noise. Like something heavy being dragged across concrete. It was coming from below me. From the basement. I got out of bed. Walked to my door. Looked through the peephole. Eric's door was open. Just a crack. The lights inside were off. I didn't sleep the rest of that night. The next day, I went to the basement during daylight. I walked down the hallway past the storage units. Most were locked with padlocks. Some had boxes visible through the chain link. I stopped in front of Eric's unit. Number 3B. The padlock was open, hanging loose on the latch. I looked around. No one was there. I pulled the door open. Just a few inches. Enough to see inside. There was a folding table. Some cardboard boxes. A rolled-up rug. And in the back corner, a large black duffel bag. Unzipped. I could see clothes inside. Women's clothes. A pair of sneakers. And something else. A purse. Still had a wallet inside. I didn't touch anything. I closed the door, walked back upstairs, and called the police. 2 officers came to my apartment an hour later. I told them everything. The note. Claudia's story. The open storage unit. They went downstairs to check. When they came back up, one of them asked if I'd be willing to give a formal statement. I said yes. They called for backup. Within 3 hours, there were 6 officers in the building. They searched Eric's apartment. They searched his storage unit. They found 3 duffel bags, all filled with women's belongings. Clothes, wallets, IDs, phones. Eric wasn't home. He never came back. 2 days later, a detective called me. Told me Eric's real name was Eric Holloway. He had a warrant out for kidnapping in Ohio. The girl who lived in my apartment before me had filed a police report 3 weeks after she moved out. She said Eric lured her to the basement, locked her in his storage unit, kept her there for 6 hours. She only got out because another tenant heard her screaming. She moved across the state the next day, too scared to press charges at the time. The detective told me they were still looking for Eric. They found items belonging to 4 different women in his storage unit. They don't know where those women are now. I moved out 2 weeks later. I still think about that night. About what would have happened if I'd said yes. If I'd gone down to that basement with him. I think about the table he wanted me to help move. And I wonder if it was ever really a table at all. I was 17. Senior year of high school. I didn't have a car yet. My mom worked early shifts, so she couldn't drive me. I usually took the bus. But in the winter, the bus was unreliable. It would show up late, or not at all. A girl in my grade named Madison offered to give me rides. We weren't close friends, but we had 2 classes together. She seemed nice. Her mom worked near our school, so Madison drove every day. She said she didn't mind picking me up. It started in early January. She'd pull up to my house around 7:15 a.m. I'd get in. We'd listen to music, talk about homework, normal stuff. Madison's car was a hand-me-down from her older brother, a beat-up Toyota Camry. It smelled like cigarettes and cheap air freshener. The passenger window didn't roll down all the way. The check engine light was always on. One morning in late February, Madison called me at 6:50 a.m. Said she'd be late. Her mom needed to use her car to run an errand, but she'd still pick me up. Just a little later, around 7:45. I said fine. I waited outside. At 7:50, a car pulled up. It wasn't Madison's Camry. It was a silver Honda Accord. The driver rolled down the window. It was a man. Maybe late 30s. He said, "You waiting for Madison?" I stepped back. Asked who he was. He said, "I'm her uncle. She asked me to pick you up. She's running late." I didn't move. He smiled. Said, "Come on. I don't bite." She said you live on Maple Street, right? I never told Madison my exact address. Just the cross streets. I shook my head. Told him I'd wait for Madison. He stared at me. The smile faded. He said, "Suit yourself." Then he drove off. I called Madison immediately. She answered on the 3rd ring. I asked if she sent her uncle to pick me up. She said, "What? I don't have an uncle. What are you talking about?" My hands started shaking. I told her what just happened. She went quiet. Then she said, "Oh my God! Stay there. I'm 5 minutes away." When she pulled up, I got in the car and told her everything. She looked terrified. She said, "That's the second time someone's tried that." I asked what she meant. She said a week ago, a girl in our math class told her a man in a silver car approached her in the school parking lot. Said he was Madison's uncle. Said Madison asked him to give her a ride home. The girl didn't get in. She went back inside the school and told the teacher. Madison reported it to the school. They checked the parking lot cameras. Saw the silver Honda. Ran the plates. The car was registered to a man named Kenneth Pruitt. He didn't have any connection to the school. No kids enrolled. No job there. Nothing. The school sent an email to parents. Warned them about a man approaching students. Told them to report any sightings. But Madison said the worst part was this: Kenneth Pruitt had been arrested before. For attempted abduction. Of a teenage girl. In a town 2 hours away. He served 3 years. Got out on parole. And now he was back. Circling our school. Watching. A few days later, Madison and I were leaving school after drama club rehearsal. It was almost 5 p.m. The parking lot was mostly empty. We walked to her car. As she unlocked the doors, I saw it. The silver Honda. Parked 3 spaces down. Madison saw it too. She grabbed my arm. Said, "Get in." Now. We got in the car. She started the engine. The Honda's headlights turned on. Madison pulled out of the parking spot. The Honda followed. She drove toward the main road. The Honda stayed behind us. Not close. But not far either. Madison's hands were shaking. She said, "What do I do?" I told her to drive to the police station. It was 4 blocks away. She nodded. Turned left. The Honda turned left. She sped up. Ran a yellow light. The Honda ran the red. We pulled into the police station parking lot. Madison parked right in front of the entrance. We got out. Ran inside. I told the officer at the front desk what happened. He asked if the car was still outside. I looked through the glass doors. The silver Honda was gone. The officer took our information. Called another unit to patrol the area. Told us to wait inside until our parents came to pick us up. Madison's mom arrived 20 minutes later. My mom came 10 minutes after that. The officer walked us to our cars. Told us to drive straight home. Lock our doors. Call if we saw the Honda again. We didn't see it that night. Or the next day. Or the day after that. But 3 weeks later, I got a call from Madison. She was crying. She said the police arrested Kenneth Pruitt. He'd been parked outside the school again. This time, he approached a freshman girl getting off the late bus. Told her he was her friend's dad. Told her to get in the car. She ran. A teacher saw. Called 911. Police caught him 2 blocks away. They searched his car. Found zip ties. Duct tape. A knife. And a notebook. Inside were names. Addresses. School schedules. Photos. Madison's name was in that notebook. So was mine. The officer who called her said Kenneth had been watching us for weeks. Longer than we knew. He had photos of Madison's car. Photos of her house. Photos of me standing outside waiting for her. He'd been planning something. And if we'd gotten in that car, we would have disappeared. Kenneth Pruitt is in prison now. He pled guilty to attempted kidnapping, stalking, possession of weapons with intent. He got 15 years. But I still think about that morning. About the man in the silver car. about how close I came to getting in. And I think about the girl in the parking lot who didn't get in. And Madison who called me that day. Our instincts saved us. Both times. If something feels wrong, it is. Don't get in the car. I was 21 when I agreed to house sit for my aunt's friend. Her name was Paula. She lived alone in a 2-story house about 30 minutes outside of Portland. She was going on a cruise for 10 days. Asked if I could stay at her place. Water the plants. Feed her cat. Bring in the mail. She'd pay me $300. I said yes. Paula's house was nice. Quiet neighborhood. Big backyard. The kind of place where people left their garage doors open and kids rode bikes in the street. She gave me a tour the day before she left. Showed me where the cat food was. Where the spare keys were. How to work the thermostat. Then she walked me upstairs. Pointed to a door at the end of the hall. Said, "This is my office. It's locked. Don't go in there." I asked why. She smiled. Said, "Just personal stuff. Work documents. You won't need anything in there anyway." I nodded. Didn't think much of it. Paula left the next morning. I moved in that afternoon. The first few days were easy. The cat mostly ignored me. I watched TV. Slept in the guest room. Watered the plants. On the 4th night, I woke up around 2 a.m. I heard something. A soft thud. Like something falling. It came from upstairs. I sat up. Listened. Nothing. I got out of bed. Walked into the hallway. The house was dark. I turned on the hallway light. Looked upstairs. Everything looked normal. Then I heard it again. A thud. Followed by a scraping sound. Like something being dragged. It was coming from Paula's office. I walked upstairs. Stood in front of the door. The locked door. I pressed my ear against it. Silence. I tried the handle. Still locked. I went back downstairs. Told myself it was the cat. Or the house settling. Old houses make noise. But the next night, it happened again. Same time. 2 a.m. Thud. Scraping. From the office. This time, I texted Paula. Asked if she had anything in her office that could make noise. A clock. A heater. Anything. She didn't respond right away. When she did, 6 hours later, she said, "No." Why? I told her I kept hearing sounds from her office at night. She read the message. Didn't reply. That night I didn't sleep. I sat in the guest room with the door open. Lights on. At 1:58 a.m., I heard footsteps. Upstairs. Walking across the floor. Slow. Deliberate. I grabbed my phone. Called Paula. She didn't answer. The footsteps stopped. Right outside the office door. I stood up. Walked into the hallway. Looked up the stairs. The office door was open. I didn't open it. I know I didn't. I backed into the guest room. Locked the door. Called 911. The operator asked what my emergency was. I told her someone was in the house. She asked if I'd seen anyone. I said no, but I heard them. Upstairs. She dispatched officers. Told me to stay in the locked room. Don't open the door unless I heard police identify themselves. I waited. 10 minutes felt like an hour. When the officers arrived, I unlocked the door. Let them in. Told them everything. They went upstairs. Checked every room. Checked the office. They came back down. Said the house was empty. No signs of forced entry. All windows locked. Back door locked. Office door still locked. I told them the office door was open when I looked upstairs. They said it was locked when they checked. One officer asked if I had the key. I said no. Paula never gave me one. They searched the house again. Checked the attic, the basement, the garage. Nothing. They told me I was safe. Probably just house noises. Stress. Lack of sleep. They left. I didn't stay another night. I packed my bag. Left a note for Paula. Told her I couldn't finish the house sitting. I didn't explain why. She called me the next day. Angry. Said I broke our agreement. I told her about the noises. The footsteps. The door. She went quiet. Then she said, "You went in my office, didn't you?" I said no. I never had the key. She said, "If you didn't go in, then how do you know the door was open?" I didn't have an answer. She hung up. Didn't pay me. A week later, a mutual friend told me Paula sold the house. Moved out of state. Didn't say why. I asked if Paula ever mentioned anything weird about the house. The friend said no. But she did say this. Paula's husband died 3 years ago. In that house. In his office. He had a heart attack. Fell. Hit his head. Paula found him the next morning. She locked the office after that. Never went back in. I don't know what I heard that night. I don't know how the door opened. But I know I'll never house sit again. 3 people. 3 close calls. 3 times instinct saved a life. If you've ever ignored a gut feeling and regretted it, drop your story in the comments. I read everyone. And if you made it this far, hit that like button and subscribe. More true horror is coming your way. Until next time, stay aware out there.